Jedrick Wills, we're incredibly excited to to add Jedrick to our organization. Jed was one of the guys that we had targeted coming into this evening, and he was a guy for us where just his performance over the past 2 years at Alabama, the way that he attacked really our spring process, and just the overall makeup of the individual, we thought he was a guy that really fit in terms of talent, makeup, need, and is really just kind of perfect for us this evening. Jed, from our perspective, very well-rounded skill set, great feet, athletic ability, coordination, advanced in pass pro, and very physical in the run game. And so just a really well-rounded player for us. But, the other thing that really impressed us with Jed, particularly this spring, honestly, is just his preparation and organization around his preparation habits and routine. It's, very difficult on clubs, but also on, prospects with obviously all the restrictions with COVID-19. And one thing that really resonated with us, particularly when we, interviewed Jed after everything shut down, is just his approach and his process to training, whether that was physically with conditioning, strength training, or his on-field work, working at left tackle, and then obviously the preparation that he's put into the classroom. So we're really excited to add him. And I guess the last thing I'll mention before opening it up to questions is, I spoke with Mac Wilson last night. We get in the habit of speaking with former teammates on a number of prospects that we consider coming into the weekend. And when I was asking Mac about the Alabama guys and got to Jed, Mac, he paused and he goes, "Man, Jed's a baller." And it's a very simple phrase, but something certainly we agree with, and we're excited to add him to the organization. Think he has a ton of potential, a lot of work to do, but we're happy to add him to the team.
Excellent. Thanks, AB. We'll open up for questions. Tom Withers, we'll start with you.
Andrew, thanks very much. Congratulations. So you also still had Wirfs and Becton on the board. What separates Jed from those two guys?
Yeah, I don't know that it's really fair to compare, prospects. But what I can say for Jedrick, here's an individual who came in as a true freshman, was a contributor at perhaps the most competitive program in college football. As a true sophomore, a true junior, was really the blindside protector for the program, and consistently matched up against edge rushers in the most competitive conference in college football. And what he was able to do at such a young age over an extended period of time was certainly impressive to us, as well as just all the people that we spoke to, around the Alabama program, including Coach Saban. We just felt like he checked all the boxes for us coming into this weekend.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right, thanks, Tom. Next up, we'll go to Mary Kay Cabot. Mary Kay, you're up.
Can you just talk about how you think he will be able to make that transition? I know you downplayed that when we talked to you in a conference call, but just, the notion of him having to move over to the left side and how you think that will go.
Yeah, I do think that there's going to be some physical reprogramming or, gaining a little bit of comfort. But, from our perspective with Jed, the reason that he was playing the right side at Alabama is because they had, a very successful left-handed quarterback. But in terms of the actual physical skill set, his feet, his athletic ability, his ability to pass protect, all of those are top notch from our perspective, and we think that he could really play either side of the line of scrimmage.
All right, thank you, Mary Kay. Nate Ulrich, fire away.
Hey, Andrew. Could you describe to us how you see him in terms of a fit specific to the outside zone blocking scheme, and how important was it? I mean, it's kind of obvious, but I mean, how important was it to find a guy who really is going to fit that specific style?
No, we do think that Jed is a very clean fit for our offensive system, and largely because of his athletic ability and his movement ability. They ran a lot of wide zone at Alabama too, so it was a bit of an easier translation for us because it's not like he was in an offensive system where you didn't see him do some things in the run game that we're going to require of our offensive linemen. But we think really physically he's certainly one of the prototypes for our system.
All right, thank you, Nate. Scott?
Hey, Andrew. Were you surprised that 3 of those 4 top left tackles were still there for you at number 10? And did you have options to move down?
So Scott, to answer your question, I'm never surprised by anything in the draft at this point. In full disclosure, yeah, I did expect more tackles to come off the board a little bit earlier. We did have some options to potentially move down the board. Obviously, we sat and decided to make the pick. We felt really good about Jed, and we're excited to have him.
Thanks.
Tony Grossi, you're up.
Hey, Andrew, congratulations on your very first pick.
Appreciate it, Tony.
Was it difficult? I mean, was there a difficult choice there, or was it easy when Wills was there waiting for you?
Yeah, Tony, there are certainly a lot of good players available at pick 10. There are going to be a lot of good players that are available through the rest of the draft, but we felt very strongly about Jed. He was certainly one of the guys that we had targeted coming into Thursday night, and we were excited when he was available to us at 10.
All right, Dan Labby, you're up.
Can't hear you, Dan.
Sorry, Dan, I have a little trouble unmuting you. Hang on 1 second. We'll go to Derek Forrest.
Yeah, Andrew, this is actually more about after the draft, but you can answer it about Jed as well. With Jed and some of the other guys you're going to be taking, obviously in a month from now, you'd be getting ready for rookie camp and things like that. But what is the process going to be for you guys moving forward, considering all the social distancing with COVID-19 and all that stuff moving forward?
Do you mean specifically in terms of communicating with our guys?
Yeah. What's that next process like if you're not able to meet with these guys in May and things like that?
Yeah, so really probably Kevin's better to speak on that, but we actually have a pretty good virtual off-season plan. Yes, we're not allowed to be with these guys physically, but we're fortunate enough to have video technology where we can still provide the resources to make sure that these guys can get up to speed and get the support that they need to get up and running with the new offense and defensive system. So all the other 31 teams are dealing with the same challenges, but we feel very equipped to make sure that our guys can hit the ground running when they are allowed back in the building.
Thank you, Derek. Nate?
Andrew, how much consideration was there given to trading for Trent Williams, and just why do you like the decision to go with the rookie left tackle at number 10 instead of making a deal for a multiple Pro Bowl player?
I guess I'll as you know, I don't generally like to make a habit of speaking or speculating on guys who aren't on our roster, but we're open to anything that helps improve the team. But any decision we make, we think that that's really the best in that moment. And for us to get a young, very, very talented tackle that can grow with the young core of our roster, we're very excited to do. Again, Jed has a very well-rounded skill set. He plays a premium position, and we think he has the proper makeup to really flourish in our organization.
Thanks, Nate. Tony?
Andrew, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yep.
I thought I heard you make a reference to Jedrick doing some work at left tackle during this draft process. Was that at the Cleveland Browns suggestion or his agent or a trainer, or why did he start working out at left tackle?
No, Jed knew coming into this process that there were a number of teams that would have asked him to make that switch. So one of the things that he talked about is with his on-field work, once everything really shut down, he would divide it really 60-40 left tackle versus right tackle. Now, one of his frustrations that he mentioned is, not being able to do it under particular supervision just because of the distance, but he really has taken the initiative to begin some of that prep work on his own. So it's really a credit to him, and it's a credit to his drive.
And just to follow up, in your interaction with him very early on, did you say a reference to left tackle?
I'm sorry?
Did you make a reference to left tackle in your very first interaction with Jed?
Yeah, it's something that we discussed when we met with him at the combine, and it's not. I can't sit here and say that we were the only team who asked him about that, but when you guys speak with him, if you haven't already, I'm sure that he'll mention that was a pretty common discussion point with him throughout the process.
And Mary Kay, your line is now open.
Andrew, given that and the fact that this is a transition period for him, and the fact that you guys really might not be able to get your hands on him as early as you would have liked to, and I did talk to him about this, and he said he's kind of working out on his own and trying to sort of figure it out, and it's coming along. But given that, would you guys possibly be open to, you've talked about, Jack Conklin can play left tackle, or do you envision that Jedrick Wills is going to be your left tackle from day one?
Yeah. So ultimately, that decision resides with coach. It resides with Kevin. But we feel confident in our ability to work with him and make sure that he's up to speed. Again, we're fortunate to have the offensive line coach who's presided over probably the most high profile switch from right tackle to left tackle, and Bill Callahan. And so we feel really good about the group and the support that we'll be able to give him.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Kay. Daryl?
Andrew, could you maybe touch on the collaboration with Paul and with Kevin as you went through this process to make this selection, and how you arrived at Wills?
Yeah, so from our perspective, there was a ton of organizational consensus around the pick, whether it's Paul, Kevin, and myself, or I would say more broadly, Daryl, our scouts, our research and strategy group, and our coaching staff. There was a lot of belief in Jedrick as a person and Jedrick as a player. So we feel really good about bringing him into the organization as a whole. But again, there was a ton of alignment with the pick.
Thanks, Daryl. Back to you, Scott. So we'll do Scott and Mary Kay, and we'll wrap there.
Andrew, when you looked at this offensive line, the tackle class, did you see a big separation somewhere, whether it was after Jedrick or after the top four, that kind of made you not want to trade down from 10 so you could get your guy?
It was really more we felt so strongly about Jedrick than any really strong demarcation, Scott. We really like him a lot. Again, he was one of the guys that we really targeted coming into the evening. So it was less about perhaps running out of options and seeing a player where the overall talent level match with some of our goals entering the weekend. So it was really more about that than anything.
All right, and close us out. Mary Kay, take it away.
Andrew, you mentioned heading in a few times that you were not going to be pigeonholed, but by the same token, you guys, had an opportunity to obviously nail that left tackle spot. Did you really come in, with the goal of doing that one way or the other, or did you not have that goal?
No, I was shooting you guys straight when I was saying that we would be flexible coming into the weekend. Ultimately, you never really know how the board is going to fall, and in this instance, it really fell in our favor. But we do go into it with an open mind and not trying to be too narrow, because you do need a little bit of luck to go along the way.